Okay, so let's talk about land, some dirt. What's going on?
Land, I think, is probably the most important thing we can do because once we're not in control here, we're on BLM land, and the BLM's in charge. And so I think the RTR grew to about 10,000 people, and they put the kibosh on it. And I think they saw that down the road we could be another Burning Man, and so they came in with the kind of restrictions that Burning Man faces now, and it just virtually made it impossible for us to proceed. But even Jamie with his van bill, which was such a fantastic thing,
Yeah.
they made his life really hard.
So what? Let's go on with land. Then I understand that that is a problem that we have no control now
Really
over
don't.
other
Yeah.
land. So, what are your ideas?
Well, I have big ideas. My job here is be the idea man, and I surround myself with people with execution plans. And so I have big plans for land. I would own land in all four corners of the country and then across more and more. And they would be training centers. So if you just start out on the life and you want to come and join, you wouldn't even have to join a caravan. We could have a training center with facilities, and you could come and camp and learn and build community. And then, so we're not going to live on that. Although, if ultimately might be an idea that we want to have land we can actually live on, or be based out of. But you can go to this land and learn and make friends and build community, and then go off and be a nomad on your own. And it could be a base camp for which we all come back and we hold gatherings on it.
Right.
So actually, we're actually looking at land here in Pahrump. So if we could get 50 acres in Pahrump, well, 50 acres will hold the RTR event itself. The event isn't big; it doesn't take a lot of room, but we can't camp on 50 acres.
Right.
But there's tons of BLM camping, so we could hold an RTR here if we had 50 acres for the event, and then we would all drive maybe 5 miles into town to the event. And so we could all just camp out on the BLM land and up in the mountain and all around. It's everywhere around here.
Right.
And so then we would have the event on private property, and we'd all camp on BLM land. That is really the ultimate, I think, vision for how events will grow. And we will also hold multiple events, so there will never be a 10,000 person event.
Now it seems like, and I'm kind of taking your idea, and I'm sure you've already been there, but again, it seems to me that if you approach, and you may have already approached towns, because we have a lot of money. For not having money, we have a lot of money. When we go to
Cumulatively.
Walmart, we have to eat, we have to buy different things, and it just seems that most towns like this would appreciate an onslaught, an influx of cash.
Well, that's the one thing we always have to do is before we buy land, is we have to go to the towns, local towns, and the county and say, we want to do this here, but we're not going to come here and fight you.
Right.
And
Exactly.
some of them will fight you.
I know.
And so it has to be a community that's welcoming, and we have to work about zoning issues.
Right.
Because if we're going to have people coming and staying on the land, and then we're talking about zoning issues and what are we going to do about waste, solid waste and liquid waste, and water and electricity and
Showers.
all those things. All those things have to be
Resources.
addressed, and that's all money. Uh, where our thinking is primitive campgrounds. But even if we do something like uh, primitive campgrounds where we have one bathhouse, or two or three bathhouses, large bathhouses, that would work. It's still primitive camping, but we have those. So at any rate, those are all require money, and they require working with the local county and the local cities.
Yeah.
And so we have to find the town that has the land, that's near public land, that is open
Right.
and not wanting to keep us out. All those things are difficult, and there has to be supplies nearby. There has to be internet on the land. We can't,
Right.
and we have to be able to afford the land. It's we've been looking for land for a while, and when you put that whole stew of requirements together, it's hard to come by. Really hard to come by.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're still in the looking process. We want it to happen. We have the money, we think, because most of the land we're looking at doesn't actually cost that much. 100 acres for $100,000. And that's pretty easy to find across especially the desert Southwest.
Yeah, but again, if you wanted to develop that at all, and I imagine insurance is going to be a major player in
Right.
that.
Yeah.
There's all those costs.
Well, one thing to think about is that the majority of Americans have no money in the bank.
Yeah.
And so all it takes is a slight disaster to push them over the edge. And that's what we saw in 2008 when we had a big disaster with that made Great Recession.
Right.
Well, what's going on in 2020? It's not a slight disaster pushing people to the edge. It's a tsunami disaster pushing people to the edge. And so I think that there is going to be an incredibly tremendous need for what we are building and trying to put in place today. And so,
yeah, I've talked for many, many years that the greatest fallacy in America is job security.
yeah,
The greatest myth is that your boss loves you and he's going to take care of you forever and ever. And a business's job is not to take care of the people. That's government. The business job is to make money first. Now, if they can, as a byproduct, take care of their employees and in turn it makes them more money, well, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But when you look at all the companies who've shut down and moved overseas in Flint or in the South, I worked in North Carolina where some of the knitting mills just shut down after 4 generations of families have given their life to build those companies. And now COVID is in your face, the reality of that now. And I think when this movie Nomad Land comes out, and for those of you who don't know, look at the links below for the book by Jessica Brewer.
Right.
She wrote a great book about it and has since been interpreted into a movie by Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Chloe Zhao. And Bob's in the movie as well as quite a other few folks who are nomadic, but it'll be out next month in December. So look for Nomadland. I just lost my train of thought. I was coming back to what we were saying. Oh, yeah. I think more people are going to see this movie and juxtapose it to their current life right now and say, really, my life isn't that secure,
No, I agree absolutely. In 2008 in the Great Recession, I had my website in place. I wasn't making YouTube videos. YouTube was barely going then. And you had all these corporations. They'd had these pensions and they had obligations to pay these pensions, and then they declared bankruptcy, and then boom, one day the judge says, okay, no more pensions. And you spent your whole life there working, and you had this pension promised, and you'd put all your money into buying a bigger house and a bigger house and bigger house, and suddenly your pension's gone, your house is worthless, and you're being evicted. And so I think that was a crushing blow to the concept of the American dream. And I think we're just seeing people so soured on it, and then here 12 years later, this another just a crushing, devastating blow. And I think we're just going to be seeing a whatever happens after 2020, we're going to be in a different world, and we're going to have different attitudes towards everything.
Yeah, it is. So I think we've covered everything about the land. When would you say, going back and talking about the land, when would have you set any kind of realistic goal where you think it's possible? And I know because of COVID, it's put a big kink in it. But are you talking 5 years up the road? Are you looking at like, well, it could happen tomorrow if the opportunity, or do you have an idea of what kind of model you have set that you think would be able to be in place within a certain amount of time?
Yeah, our goal is months.
Oh, months.
Yeah, our goal is months. It's just finding the land, and there's a lot of, and like we've talked about, there's a lot of legwork that goes along with it. You're going to have to go and meet. If we found a piece of land in Pahrump, and we've actually looked at some land we think is viable, and then we're going to have to go talk to the Chamber of Commerce, and kind of feel that out. How is the community going to feel about it? Then Pahrump is not even an incorporated town, bizarrely. It's big. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, but it's a big town, but it's not even incorporated. You'd have to go talk to the county, and that's why the county has big offices here. So we have to go talk to the county and say, we're not going to come here and fight you. Will this work?
Right.
We're bringing in a lot of people. We're bringing in a lot of money, but is it what you want?
Right.
And so then we'd have to talk about zoning, about the land, because most of the problems here in Pahrump are solved. As you know, because you've been here, it's unbearably hot in the summer, unbearably hot. And it can be awfully cold here in the winter, and the wind can howl nonstop. So it's not the perfect place, but there is no perfect place.
Right.
It has a lot of advantages.
So each location that you're thinking of doing would be based geographically on the time of year to sustain that 70 to 85 degree, ideally.
Right. We're not looking at a place that's going to work year round.
Yes.
There aren't any of those, and if we found one, it would be very, very expensive. And we're only looking at one. Okay, we're only looking at one now. The dream down the years, decades, is multiples across the country.
Right.
But the dream right now is just to get one.
Good.
And so, our goal is months. We're looking. Time is consumed with we go from one super busy thing, an interlude, to another super busy thing. And right now the super busy thing is we're doing 4 minivan builds this month.
Right.
In the next 30 days. And so that pretty much takes all our time, and then we'll refocus onto land.
Right. Kind of to wrap things up, the reason I wanted to, besides just catch up with Bob, because we haven't seen each other for a while, is for you to keep in mind that if you're really desperate and you're really hurting right now and you're really curious about this stuff, check it out. Go to both. Bob's YouTube channel, Cheap RV Living, and he's got a countless number of videos, and you can go to the lists and find anything. cheaprvliving.com. He has forums that you can log on to and get so much information you want to. And then Homes on Wheels Alliance, if you need things, go and visit that site and see if there's things that you might feel comfortable applying for or participating in. If you're somebody who's extremely fortunate that feels that ability to help out, then you would contact Bob or Sue Ann or the organization directly.
Right. If you go to homesandwheelsalliance.org, there is a programs page. Just click on the programs page, and all the list of programs is on that page, and all the contacts, how to get involved with those programs.
Right. Well, Bob, thanks for taking the time and driving over from your camp to our camp. And
just about 5-10 minutes away.
Yeah, I figured it was. Well, thanks a lot for coming, and we'll see you down the road.
All right, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Talk to you all later.